Welcome to This Wasn't on the Test, the podcast where knowledge meets humor in the most unexpected ways. Join Dr. Jake and Dr. Kayla, a couple with doctorates in their respective fields, and their sister Kelsey, who may not have a PhD but sure knows how to keep things light with her quick humor and relatable take on the world. Whether you're a scholar or just a curious mind, this trio will make you laugh, think, and you might even learn something new. Tune in to find out why this wasn't on the test. Welcome back to This Wasn't on the Test. I'm Kelsey, and I'm here with the one and only Dr. Jake Berg.
Hello.
And hello, the one and only Dr. Kayla Berg.
Hey, that took, I feel like that was a lot of gap in between those.
Well,
I
was pausing for Jake to say hello.
Oh.
Well, I was trying to think of something witty to say, because on our last podcast episode, when you ditched out on us, I said the one and only Jake Berg, and he said the one and only Dr. Berg, or something like that.
Wow.
And so I was trying to think of something funny to say, but there's just no funny left in me today. So,
or you're just not that funny.
Pretty sure that's not true. Pretty sure.
No.
How are you guys doing?
I was busy playing Dance Mom.
Yep.
Ooh, fun.
And we had 2 nights of rehearsal followed by 3 nights of shows.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot.
I was busy playing Dance Mom, which is a lot. You get to do all kinds of fun activities like super glue sequins back onto costumes, try to get red lipstick out of a white costume 2 minutes before showtime. Both things I did in one day.
Yeah.
That's fine. No,
that's okay.
It's fun. It's fun to be backstage with the kids. And that's
super fun.
Several of the kids are also like my students, like I have them in class, and then they're in Emmy's like dance studio, and so that's fun too. Because that's
really fun.
I get to hang out with them and like be myself outside of school, so they get the regular version and not the teacher version,
which is a very different version. Not that different.
No,
different enough.
No. And they're like, are you allowed to say that? I'm like, I'm not your teacher right now.
I can say whatever the fuck I want, kid.
Pretty much. It's pretty much what comes out of my mouth.
Well, today my oldest had a birthday party to go to, a Wednesday evening birthday party.
Who has a birthday party on a Wednesday? And you guys are still in school, right?
Your sister have one like that,
right?
Like every year.
That's all.
We are still in school. The kids have school tomorrow.
God.
And so it was at Dave & Buster's, which I ran into an old colleague there, and he was like, "Oh, let me use my card for some games because they have a summer pass, and at Dave & Buster's you can pay $150 for an unlimited game pass from Memorial Day to Labor Day."
Wow,
$150. That's a great deal, and he has multiple kids, and so he just they just pass the card around in their family, and then you get 30% off of food.
Listen,
say you're spending $60 each time. If you go twice during the summer, it's pretty much there already.
My mom was reading to me, apparently Topgolf has a similar thing. It's like $220 for the summer, but it's unlimited games at Topgolf, 10% off food up to 5 people each time.
Oh shit, that's a good deal.
It's a great deal. I said if we were going to be around here this summer, I'd be down for that. I love Topgolf.
Yeah, you guys are long gone. Yeah, I mean, for us, we get a lot of rain days still, and this time of year through June, we're still gonna get lots of rain, and then you get into August and it's hot as fuck, and we're not used to hot weather here, so I think I might do that for days when it's not nice out.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I refuse to go to Dave & Buster's when it's nice outside. We're not spending time inside when it's nice out, but for any day that's shitty out,
absolutely.
When you gotta occupy the 2
yahoos.
Yeah.
Jake was like, how do I nicely put that your children are a lot?
No, I was just making a point that they're both single-digit age, which...
Single-digit age boys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a whole vibe.
I also had a happy hour thing with some colleagues for somebody who resigned, and so they did a celebratory goodbye thing, and there was like a group of people chit-chatting, and somebody was like, oh, how old are your kids? And I was like, oh yeah, they're 4 and 8. And she just looked at me and she was like, oh, you're really in the trenches. And I was like,
yeah,
I am. And I'm by myself doing it in the trenches, so that makes it even more exciting.
We have made it out of the trenches for the most part.
I'm not sure we had much of a trench.
We didn't have much of a trench.
No. Having a girl who, a single child girl.
Single child girl where there's
easier.
2 parents.
Right, exactly.
It's
My
not too
kids
bad.
were both like pulling on me and then butting their heads into my stomach when I was talking to my old colleague that was at Dave & Buster's, and he's like, oh, they really give you a run for your money. And I'm like, yep, they do.
Kelsey's like, can't confirm.
Can confirm. Oh, don't mind me pouring my got a big old glass of wine.
Jake says avoid extra background noises. Kelsey, like, hold my beer.
Hey, oh, you haven't listened to our last podcast episode. That's right.
She doesn't listen to the podcast.
I will listen to it, okay? Jesus.
I was going to say, did Jake tell you about my fun game that we played?
What fun game did you play?
I
this
You
or
did
that.
tell me, because I
yeah.
asked how the podcast went. He was telling me about your fun game that you played
so you
briefly.
Do care about us.
See, I do. But listen, Monday was supposed to be my day off, and we ended up having a unexpected go to the doctor situation on Monday. And then Tuesday, I'm like, perfect. Tuesday evening, I'll be like home after Holiday World, and like it'll be great after we go to, go on our trip. And then chaos ensued. Otherwise, like, I have had 0 time.
So you still wouldn't have listened to our podcast?
No, I would have, but I didn't. Jesus.
Anyways, we played a fun game, a this or that game. So now I have to craft one for you because that would be very fun. We had a good time doing it. But you guys will be really proud of me because I do actually remember what we're talking about today.
I am proud of you.
Thank you.
Kelsey, we recorded 2 days ago where we talked about that.
Hey, don't hate.
Wow.
Just because I had a reminder doesn't mean anything. I still remember. So, cheers to me.
Cannot.
That was me cheersing myself.
I don't know that I want to spend the summer with you this summer.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
We're about to have a good time.
I don't even like you.
I that's been evident since I was 8. So.
Well, here we go. Hasn't been that long. It's been
Since I was 9.
23 years.
Since I was 10.
23 years. 23 years ago on Saturday.
Really?
This past Saturday, yeah.
Wow.
Right, Jacob?
That's...
I can't be bothered to remember.
Well, he at least knows our wedding anniversary. Like,
I do know that.
the anniversary of like when we started dating in the 7th grade. I'm not gonna hold it against him.
The anniversary of when
If you
Kevin
ask me when it
dared
was,
him
I
to
would.
ask you out.
Yep.
If you asked me when it was, I could tell you, but it wouldn't occur to me on the day.
Yeah.
I would say.
Do you know our wedding
So how did
anniversary?
that go?
Wait, wedding anniversary?
Yep. You're being a butthole on purpose. I know you know.
Did you guys know that I've never
It's
known
coming up.
my ex wedding anniversary?
That doesn't surprise me.
Like on the very first, our 1 year anniversary, I could not remember the actual date that we got married on.
Red flag.
I know.
Not of you as a person. Red flag of the relationship.
The situation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I only ever remembered because my best girlfriend Rachel would text me every year like happy anniversary, and I was
And you're
like
shit,
oh my
that's
God.
today.
Shit.
Oh God.
Yeah. How many years would you guys be married this year? Or coming up to this anniversary?
I'm gonna wait for Jake to answer. I know the answer off the top of my head.
It ends in teen.
Do you seriously not know? Are you being
Of course I know.
a jerk face?
It's 15. I know this.
No, it's not.
It's 14. I know. I know.
Okay, I'm like, no, it's not. It is 14.
Wow. So it would also be my 14-year wedding anniversary. That's a joke. Oh my God.
Gross.
I think ours is like conveniently the first day of the month. It's really easy to remember.
Is that the only way you remember?
Well, I can't tell you because that is when the day is. But I'm saying I think it would be if I was like, is it the 12th or the 13th? That I could see. But
do you guys know what mine would have been? September what?
Second or third.
Second or third.
Labor Day weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, I knew it was Labor Day weekend. I just don't know the actual date.
I mean, I could go back and
You just open a calendar.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't care enough.
I would like it noted that I never cared enough to actually remember your anniversary, and that had nothing to do with you.
Fully aware that it had nothing to do with me.
Okay.
Yep.
I love you.
It was the year that you allowed me to get married and didn't rescue me. You should have kidnapped me.
Bro, I tried. I was the one person that was like, hey guys, does anyone else think this is a bad idea? And everyone is like, Kelsey can do what makes her happy. And I'm like, okay, bro. I'm like, hey.
She's not happy.
I'm like,
she's washing somebody's feet at the altar.
And then you had pictures of that in your house forever and ever afterwards.
How cringy. Yeah, we did. Oh my God, I hate myself. Don't worry. It's
Oh my God, Jake. I think we should take pictures of us washing each other's feet and frame it and hang it in Kelsey's house when she's not paying attention. I think she would love that. Oh, that was pretty cringy.
Have I told you guys about my really funny prank? Okay, we might need to cut this part out. So just make note. My funny prank that I think we should pull on Mom, because she does actually listen to our podcast.
Does she really?
Does?
She listens every week.
Shut the fuck up.
How'd that happen?
Can you believe it?
She does like
she
us.
Said that she is.
So, I mean, leave that part that I just said, but the next part that I say, sorry, you'll have a little editing doodad here. But yeah, she does. She
does love us.
She does love us.
Oh my God.
We were driving to the lake house to Aunt Anna's the other day.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, oh, I listened to your guys' last episode and it was so funny. You guys should do more episodes like that. I thought that was your strongest episode yet, or however she said it.
Okay. Hi, Mom.
So, hi, Mom. She does listen to us. But I do have a funny prank that we should play on.
She is proud of us.
I think I might have said like something about this, but I was also really drunk, so I don't totally remember. But we should. Anyways, back to regular scheduled programming. Should we get into it?
Yeah.
Yep.
This week's topics, like I feel like we might need a little trigger warning for some people.
Yeah.
Kayla's topic is pretty heavy, and it's likely that I'm already starting to cry. So, we're talking about how would we word it? Like
tragedy preparedness.
Tragedy preparedness in schools, but we're gonna end up touching on school shootings, which is gonna need to be the trigger warning. If that's gonna be a thing, then maybe just skip past mine and go to Jake's. I won't be offended this episode. It's fine.
Yeah,
we'll try to keep
minutes.
Try to keep it light and as much as we can. Laugh in the face of the things that you fear or something like that type of thing. But
it's going to be heavy.
Trigger warning about the content, at least.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So we are talking about tragedy preparedness and essentially tragedy preparedness in a school. And I think, I guess to summarize it ahead of it, like talking about how teachers are expected to prepare for something that's
unfathomable.
Unfortunately, and unfathomable, but also inevitable in our current climate, right? Like in a lot of this is happening all over the country constantly. And it's not just like we said, school shootings. There's a lot of tragedies that could happen in a school setting, and so yeah, I guess.
Well, I think the worst part is it's not unfathomable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect little segue into we're starting with a question. So my first question is, what drills are schools required to perform and how often?
Boom.
There are rules about we have to have these drills done this many times a year.
I wonder if colleges are the same level, like the same.
Oh, that'd be interesting to know. Yeah.
Elementary, because we are required where I work in higher education, we're required to do essentially like an active shooter. We call it something different, though I can't remember what we call it. Like a lockdown. I think we call it maybe like an emergency lockdown. Twice a year. And then we're required to do like the normal like fire and tornado drills twice a year as well.
Okay, not the same.
Interesting. Okay.
Jake?
I mean, I think there's active shooter drills. I mean, at least once a year, maybe twice. I really don't know. But I mean, it for sure happens. Active shooter drills and training and stuff like that. So, but I don't know the regular, but they, well, at least here.
So we have. Nope. Go ahead.
Wait, can I say one more thing really quick? We also are required to do as a new staff hire, anybody who is newly hired at our school has to go through like a 4-hour class on. There's 4 4-hour classes. One is just like getting to know the college so you can give information if you have to help somebody. And then, there's like 2 other ones, whatever. And then the fourth one is tragedy preparedness and talking about like our systems and how everything's all tied into a computer system. And, there's a push of the button and it locks everything down, disables all computers, all TVs, everything, like that type of thing. So everybody as a new staff member is required to take that class.
That's smart.
As well.
That's
smart. I
smart.
don't know if that's something like that you guys do as well.
Yes and no. Let's start with, so we have 4 drills that we're required to do. We have to do an active shooter drill twice a year, and the first time has to be within the first 30 days of school. We have to do tornado drill, again, twice a year. First one has to be within the first 30 days. We usually end up doing what we call like drill palooza, where we do like all of the drills in one setting just to get it done. We also have to do twice a year earthquake drills.
Oh shit!
Really?
You guys get earthquakes by you?
No, at least not since I've been here. No, we have to do an earthquake drill twice a year, like duck and cover, get your head under a desk type situation. And then we have to do fire drills once a month.
Once a month?
Once a month. We have to do a fire drill.
Holy shit. Are the hill people in Kentucky just setting schools on fire or what the fuck?
Okay, so this is, I get on like my high horse about these stupid fire drills that we have to do them so often and how stupid they are. And then there was a couple of years ago a school shooting where someone pulled the fire drill and then that brought everyone out into the hallways. And then that's when they started shooting.
Yeah, that's like my biggest fear.
So we are not allowed to, we don't use the, all of our fire, because of that, all of our fire drills are like planned. We know ahead of time when the fire drill is going to be. They don't use the alarms. They just come over the announcement, like we're going to do a fire drill, so that like anyways, but I have a whole high horse about stupid fire drills, which is this is what I looked up. Fatalities from school fires are considered exceptionally rare. Many schools built since the late 1970s are required to have sprinkler systems and other fire smoke alarms and systems. Everything in our rooms has to, like, we get a visit from the fire marshal twice a year. Everything that they use to build everything is like flame retardant. The actual likelihood of us having a fatal fire is literally 0%.
Not literally.
It's real close. Because, and also this is what
like math, like this is not true.
This is what I quote literally every time we have to fire drill and the kids are like, oh, we have a fire drill. Like I very loudly, because I'm an asshole. I'm like, there's not been a fatality in a school fire since the 1950s. Why are we still here? Like, which is true. It's true. The most recent school fire in the United States that resulted in multiple fatalities was the Our Lady of the Angels school fire in Chicago, which occurred on December 1st, 1958.
Yeah, before they had sprinkler systems.
Correct. So every time we have to do these stupid fire drills, I'm like, there hasn't been a fatality in 70 years. And the kids are like, can you say that? And I'm like, facts.
Do you happen to know how often they test the sprinkler systems in your schools?
I happen to know that based on the thickness of the dust on the sprinkler systems that they likely haven't been tested since the school was built.
That's its own problem. Like, that's kind of part of justification for why they probably should have the drills, because who knows if those things are going to work. You can say it hasn't happened and that there's mitigation systems, but those are relying.
Working in the facilities department at a college, when our sprinkler system gets tested, there's like a main panel that it tests, not the actual sprinkler heads. So
it's very possible that they're testing that in the background.
Because when you get your fire marshal test, they check your records of when the last time your sprinkler system was tested.
Mm-hmm.
And we our system, which is very much like most other schools, where we can turn it on and off. And so like if there's something in a building, like going on construction or anything like that, like we have to be able to disable it because anything can trigger those sensors essentially.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So they probably are. They would have to be testing, otherwise the school would be closed down.
Well, testing. It's like, but how much testing do you
actually
do to know that
sprinklers.
it's going to work when it happens? Like you just said, they're not running the actual sprinklers. So how do we know?
I think it's pretty state of the art because most of our sprinkler lines have like a little sensor in them that like has like a water bubble that shows the water in the lines and whatnot. I think it's pretty accurate, like the ways that they test and stuff.
They're very like stringent with us in terms of like things that we can have in our classrooms, and like we can't have like if we're like stacking stuff on top of our cabinets, it can't be within so many inches of the ceiling so that the sprinklers are still effective. We can't have, there's a certain percentage of our classroom door. There's only a certain percentage that can be covered in like posters or decorations or stuff because they're like fire retardant doors. There's only certain types of, lights and light bulbs that we can use in our classroom if we're bringing home like personal lights. Like there's a lot of rules fire related that we have to follow.
Email, like anytime we have like more than a couple day break, we have to send out an email like, don't forget to unplug your lamps, unplug your light strands, unplug your space heaters, your microwaves, your coffee pots, all of that stuff, because it's such a fire hazard to have all of that stuff plugged in. And we had somebody recently try decorating their cubby and it had paper all over the place, and we made them take it down.
Yeah, no, I'll have to unplug all my stuff this week. With my last work day is Monday, and so everything, like my mini fridge has to be unplugged, my computer has to be unplugged, like everything, you have to unplug all of it.
Yeah.
And then like even to like I have a little couch in my room. I had to buy a like fire retardant spray for the couch and then keep an MSDS sheet on file in my room for that spray that I used for my couch in order to have it in my room.
Yeah, that's pretty standard.
So,
we have we have that like with pretty much anything. Like we have a whole guy that his entire job is keeping track of like, they call them SDS sheets now, but MSDS sheets. Yeah, and every single person that brings anything onto campus that's like any sort of chemical or even like soap or anything like that has to be tracked. Because they need to know for like insurance purposes and stuff. We had a fire breakout in our welding lab, and the alarm started going off. And as somebody in that department, it's pretty scary because the fire alarms are going off, and you can see visible smoke, and you're like, "What the fuck is going on?" And you're trying to make sure all the students are getting out, and like students are panicking because it's like you can tell the difference between an actual fire,
right,
and a fire alarm because there's smoke and it smells terrible. And when that happened, it was mass hysteria, and I feel like we're really well prepared, and it felt like apocalyptic, like running through the hallways to try to figure out where this was to be able to tell the fire department which street to pull down on our campus, because it was it's such a huge campus and there's a fire happening and there's hundreds of students in there. It was crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, and it happened to be like a filter in the welding lab that should have been changed out. Somebody signed off on the paperwork that it was, and it was not. Yeah. So the insurance companies ask for that type of thing because
Somebody's in trouble.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Meanwhile, so here's in the other news. So moving on from fires in terms of lockdowns. So here's the statistics that I found. In 2020 and 2021, firearms contributed to the death of more children ages 1 through 17 in the U.S. than any other type of injury or illness. In no other similarly large, wealthy country are firearms in the top 4 causes of death for children and teens.
What was the time range on that?
2020 and 2021.
So when people like weren't even primarily in schools at that time either.
And follow-up, from 2000 to 2022, there were 1,375 school shootings, resulting in 515 deaths and 1,161 injuries.
That's disgusting.
I think one of the articles I was reading, it was reporting like how many school shootings each year, and at this point this year, I think there have been, the thing that I was reading was like 83 school shootings in the U.S. so far this year.
Hey, you've been on lockdown twice this year.
Mm-hmm.
This past school year. Was it only twice? Felt like it was twice in the last 2 months or something like that.
It was both towards the end. Well, here's another thing. Here's my second question. You've led into this perfectly. What is the difference between a soft lockdown and a hard lockdown, and when does each one occur? Because that is an important.
I have a pretty good, because
You
we
have
talk about this a lot when
do.
it happens.
So Kelsey can.
I mean, I would assume that a soft lockdown is if there is like a threat of something in the area where people are at risk just because like there's been a threat, or there's another school that something is happening at, or a public place that something's happening at, and so they soft lockdown. And that's probably just like no one in, no one out, high alert type of situation. Hard lockdown is there is an actual somebody on the actual premises that is a threat, and you need to completely barricade in your classrooms and do the
Maybe
take
not,
out your
maybe
government
not
issued
is,
gun.
but
Just kidding.
I do not have a
I
government.
think it's like
gun.
the potential,
The government issued gun that they want everybody to.
potential or strong evidence that they think there might be somebody. I don't think you need to have the full like visual confirmation to go into hard lockdown.
I think it's cute that they think we should have government issued guns when I don't even have government issued pencils, which I actually do need.
That is cute.
It's cute.
Real cute of them. It's also cute that they want us to have you teachers to have government issued guns when they won't even give us government issued birth control to stop bringing more children into this world that are going to be at risk.
No, you're wrong. Anyways, so we can go on to a hard lockdown, even if the hard lockdown means like you are locked down in your room, your doors are locked, your blinds are closed, your lights are off, kids are hiding, like it's a lockdown. And that like is when there's a threat, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in our building. It can be in the school, the next school over, depending upon the proximity. It can be something else happening like down, depending upon the proximity. It doesn't have to be our building. A soft lockdown typically is more, so soft lockdown, it's don't let kids, like no one comes in, no one comes out of the building. Don't let kids like out in the hallways, but you continue running your classroom as normal. Like we keep doing stuff, we keep, teaching, learning, everything continues on. And that's more common when there's like a medical emergency. So we've had it before where like a student had a seizure unexpectedly, and so EMS needs to be able to get in the building and get to that student. So everyone else stays in the rooms to kind of protect their privacy, stay out of the way kind of thing. There's also been situations before where 2 students have gotten into a fight in the hallway and there's blood. And so that needs to get cleaned up before anyone else is, coming in, coming out, moving around. It just kind of prevents movement within the school for those types of situations.
Yeah. Or like domestic disturbances that don't happen in the school that aren't necessarily related to the school.
Right.
Like there's been stuff like that.
Like if there's a crazy parent.
Yeah. I mean, we've done that too, where there's like a crazy parent in the front office, so the rest of the school goes on soft lockdown, like keep all the kids, safe.
So when they go on soft lockdown, do they just like walkie-talkie it to all the teachers? Do they send out something like via the computers? How do they alert everybody for a soft lockdown versus a hard lockdown?
both usually come over the intercom. Whether it's a soft lockdown or a hard lockdown, they usually come over the intercom. And then usually when like someone's available to do so, the teachers will get like a follow-up email about like specifically what's going on. Like, hey, we're going to be on a soft lockdown. There's, you know, a medical crisis happening. Hey, we're on a soft lockdown. There's a situation in the front office. Like, they'll tell us. And depending upon what it is, I may or may not tell my kids the, you know, like, oh, hey, it's just this. Like the very broad strokes just to keep them, you know, not worried about what's going on, which I did do. We had
disrupts learning for sure.
So we had a legitimate lockdown in, was it like March-ish?
Yeah, it was pretty close to the end of the year.
It's like March-ish. We had an actual hard lockdown. And that one was alarming because we didn't at first know what the situation was. Like our principal just came out and I could tell in her voice it was not right. Like hard lockdown right now, everyone on lockdown. And so my kids were panicky. And I have the way my desk and stuff is set up. Like I have a bookshelf on one side of my desk. I have countertops in my room and then I have my desk. So it creates like a U shape. So I shoved all of them in there because the closest thing to the door is then the bookshelf. You can't see any of them from the door. And I, one of my like district level coworkers happened to be like visiting me to deliver some supplies when this happened.
Oh my God.
So she got stuck in there with me and I put myself between the bookshelf and the door and like put a pair of scissors in my pocket. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I didn't know what was going on, what was going to happen. Like, I'm like, I will kill someone.
Yeah, you're like ready to attack somebody
yes.
with your fucking scissors.
I did. I very discreetly put a pair of scissors in my pocket. And it was funny because she kind of looked at me and I like pulled the scissors like half out to show her what I had done. And she like held her hand out like, give me a pair too. Like we were ready to go down. And it was, and I like, it was about 15 minutes between like her announcing lockdown and us getting an email about what was going on. And it wasn't at our school. There was a situation at the high school, but we kind of share a campus with the high school. It's very, very close to us, which is why we were put on lockdown. And so when I knew that information, like I shared it with my students, like, okay, there's nothing happening here. It's at the high school because we're so close.
Not me crying right now.
Listen, I didn't in the moment, but like,
oh my God, I would sob afterwards.
Listen, when it passed and I had like kids out of my room, I like melted. Like it was just terrifying and overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, and didn't you get a text message or something because your kid, or no?
No,
your kid
I
is part of
texted him.
the district.
I texted him.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was going to say, it's good that there's a low threshold. Like, it's going to be the most successful when you respond to, like, kind of, I don't want to say small, but like I said, like a low threshold to jumping into that prepared mode. But it is, like, the most nerve-wracking because, like, you're just like, we have no idea what's going on.
I mean, which is what I texted Jake.
But we need to go into the protocol or whatever. And like, that's going to be the most effective, but it also is just like really ramps your nerves up, obviously, like especially from being outside because you just get a text message just like, we're going to lockdown. We don't know why.
That's literally what I texted him.
No communication at all.
I'm like, we're in a hard lockdown. I don't know why. I'm safe right now. That was, it's like, I'm not going to not text him, but like that's.
I know, it's so scary.
Yeah. And then like, so, Emmy has two friends that are a year older than her, so they already go to my school. And they have to like pass my classroom to get to their next class after that happened. And one of them comes in and I'm like, hey, are you okay? Is everything right? And she just starts sobbing. And I'm like, all right, come here. Like, so the rest of the day was like, it was a wash. Like like it was a wash.
There's no way.
There's no way to come back from that with like 12-year-olds. Like, no, they're done. They're finished.
I mean, even as adults, like, you know, like 12-year-olds, it makes sense because they're young, but like we're all like experiencing all of this for the first time too. You know, like, when something like that happens, like you don't know how to react in those type of I mean, you're trained and you're prepared and they can do as many crazy, scary, drills with you, but like nothing prepares you for something to actually be happening.
No. And my kids were like, they knew it was for real. They were fucking silent the whole time.
Yeah.
Like just crickets. And
because
because
it's like when it's a
they're
drill,
screwy during a drill,
bit.
and I'm like, and I make them. I'm like, no, we're taking this seriously, just in case this is a real. And they like try to, but they're like, it's a drill. We know, like real deal.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah.
And one of my kids came to me like the next day, and she gives me the biggest hug, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? You okay? And she's like, my mom just wanted me to tell you to say, no, I'm gonna start crying. To say thank you for keeping us safe.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those unspoken things. It's another, going back to whatever episode it was that we were talking about, the unspoken burden.
It's part of your job.
I say, of course I am. Like, of course I'm going to keep them safe. But for that, like, my mom just wanted me to say thank you for keeping us safe yesterday. And I'm like,
yeah,
of course I will. Like, it's my job.
It's crazy that teachers will 100% put their lives ahead of their students.
I sure did put my body in between them and the door with my fucking fiskers, like me and my office supplies. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, that's 100% like gonna do it.
Yeah.
Listen, we trigger warned this appropriately. Good God, it's bad news when me and Kelsey are both crying.
Yep.
Jake's like, y'all are babies. Jake doesn't have a sad bone in his body.
Sure.
Okay, so here, my last question. So when teachers do have to do active shooter training, I'm not sure how many year, like, I know it's not once a year. I don't know how long it's supposed to be between trainings, because I did it once and have skipped out on it ever since.
Because you were traumatized.
Because I was traumatized. So, like, we are supposed to every so many years do an active shooter training. But my question is, what does that active shooter training for teachers entail? Because it's alarming.
Does your school system lock down, like do any magnetized doors automatically shut when the system is alerted?
No, but all of our doors are, like, all of our exterior doors are locked 24/7.
Yeah, okay.
There is no...
Our doors aren't locked at the college that I work at, but at kids' schools, they are locked.
Yeah.
But at the college that I work at, if you press the button, it locks down. I mean, every single door that's on a magnet slams shut, and there's no getting in unless you're, shooting at it, on obviously, but, like, it's very...
Yeah.
It feels really secure because of that, but...
And ours, like, the way
elementary schools are different.
The way we do at one of my schools, we have like a vestibule once you walk in before you can get to the office, and it used to be like open where, like, once you got buzzed into the school you could then get into the office, but they've decided to, like, lock that down even further, where, like, when a parent gets buzzed in, or when a parent, like, buzzes in, our ladies in the front office will ask them what they're here for, and they're, I'm here to sign out my student. And we'll say their name. And then when they get into the vestibule, that's where, like, the clipboard is to actually physically sign them out. And so then the front office ladies from the front will call the students down and then, like, unlock the door to, like, get the child out and relock the door. Like, the parents can't even get into the office without parents or anyone without them being physically let in.
Yeah.
So it's that's just how it is all the time.
Yeah.
So
and all the schools have it. I think at one of them here, they even essentially built a little chamber just to do that, because it wasn't really open. Designed that way to begin with. But now there's like a I don't know, like a 6 foot by 3 or 4 foot
like
room right by the door. So that's kind of the standard in here.
My other school.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. That's how it is in our where we live as well.
My other school is an older school, and they don't have that. Like, once you get buzzed in, you are in the building.
Oh,
and that always makes me nervous. Like, and it's just because the school is a little bit older and was designed differently than how it would need to be if it was designed today.
Also, that particular front door essentially has no good options for doing that.
Yeah, there's no good choices for it. Like,
for some reason, they decided to put the doors at like a 45-degree angle with the walls. So it's like a weird,
You'd almost have to have like a
angled
trapezoid
wall.
situation to the front office.
Yeah.
Like it's weird.
Yeah. So
my question
drills that you guys do.
is, what does active shooter training for teachers entail?
Okay. So I feel like, you've I don't know if it's because I'm a screaming liberal or whatnot, but I've looked into this because I want to know. But I know there's some schools that they do like a live training where they set off like flares and shit in the hallways to like really amp up the fucking situation. And it has traumatized teachers. And teachers are like sitting there saying, Kayla's raising her hand, sitting there saying like, we don't need to be traumatized anymore. We're already fucking traumatized. Do a normal drill like we do them. You don't have to shoot off fake blanks in the fucking hallways.
Jacob? I say Jacob knows.
Well, I mean, exactly what Kelsey said, that I know that they do, in fact, do the things that Kelsey was just saying, like firing blanks and stuff like that a lot. I don't know. I think I remember something like, yelling and just like trying to rattle teachers as much as possible, try to put them into the as real of a situation as possible. Whether that's effective as a training tool or not, I'm not sure.
It's not. I have heard from other people who have done the trainings more recently that they have like reined it in because of feedback that they have gotten. But the only active shooter training that I was ever a part of 11 years ago, because I've refused to go since, so we met in the state police come in to do the trainings with us. And so we were in our library, like kind of going over like, here's what's going to happen for today. Here's what's going to whatever. And out of nowhere, there are gunshots in the hallway. Like they did not warn us that it was happening. They just like were trying to like, they're obviously shooting blanks, but trying to like amp it up. So there were gunshots in the hallway out of nowhere.
I hate that.
Everyone like runs for the door. We're like, peace out, bye. Like we're like, nope, not doing this. So that was like the first part. And then they do like a training where you're like just sitting there like going through PowerPoint slides and kind of going over stuff. And then the second part of the training is they have like smoke bombs and stuff in the hallway, and you have to like get into a classroom and like lock the door and hide. And then the third part is you're in a classroom and one of them is dressed up in like a big foam suit trying to like break into the classroom, and you have to like physically fight back.
Oh my God. How does that help? Like,
a spoiler alert, it doesn't, because clearly I did it once and I'm like, never fucking again. Like I refuse. Like one of my schools is supposed to be doing active shooter training this year, and thankfully I have another training I have to be at that day unrelated, but I'm like, I'm not doing it. Like I am absolutely not. Like the minute they like friggin' gun sounds in my school is not going to help me ever.
No.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, I believe that.
And I've heard that they've like stepped back slightly, but they still do like the gunshots in the school, but then like the other parts of it are optional. Like doing like running through the hallways and fighting back parts are optional now. But I'm like, I'm still not doing it. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
That's crazy.
I'm like, I promise you I have been sufficiently trained because I still remember it 11 years later.
Like, I'm still traumatized. Thank you.
Like,
I'm going to therapy for it.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, even like our training that we had to do like as a new employee, because I just have a really busy schedule, I couldn't go like right away when I got employed. So I didn't do my class for the active shooting drill until like a year and a half after. I mean, I did it like 4 months ago. Like I am not, I mean, more like a little bit more than that, but like I did it after I had been there and know everything about the school, know how the lockdowns go. We've done like drills, we've done all of that. And then I took that class because that's like the only time I had available. But then in that class, I learned like, of course I'm sobbing in the class because I'm a fucking sobber. And, you know, they're showing videos and talking about like how important it is to be prepared and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm crying. And then they say like, you know, if you have access to a place that you can help people, like your responsibility as like a master access holder, which is what I have, is to get as many people to safety as possible. And then I start crying more because I'm like, so if I'm in the hallway and there's people, what if I accidentally let the shooter in? Like, I was just
right.
like, so my mind was spiraling and I'm sobbing and I'm like I didn't realize I signed up to like stand at a door and let people in, you know, like it's crazy like that. There's just so much expected on people in education that you don't get into it thinking that you're going to be in that type of situation.
Not listed on the job expectations,
For real.
probably.
Well, when they didn't do these trainings when I first like started teaching. Like I was 2+ years into teaching in the district before they decided to do an active shooter training for the first time, which was the one that I went to because I was new. Everyone was required to do it because it was new. I want to say, based on how often I see the trainings show up that I'm supposed to sign up for, that it's like every 2 years now that you're supposed to like redo it. I clearly have not, but here we are.
Yeah,
I feel prepared, but I'm like, listen, we had an active shooter situation. I was prepared during the it happened and I was fine.
Yeah,
more or less. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it's also like I'm gonna get emotional now again, but like it's so fucked up that like, you know, like I bring my kids to school in the morning and I've talked to Zeke about if you have a fire drill that you're not expecting to be the last person out of his classroom.
Yep.
Like it's just so crazy that like as parents we have to teach our kids that like when something is happening, you know,
you got to think about
it feels so fucking shitty to say to your kid like make sure your classmates are out first. Mm-hmm. But like make sure your classmates are out first because you know they're going to be the one, like I don't want you to be at risk. You know, and like how else do you teach your child? You know, you frame it as I don't know if it's a bad parenting thing or not, but I don't want my kid to get shot at school, you know? So it's like make sure, you know, as a good friend, you need to make sure that your classmates are out of your classroom first because you have to take care of them. And that might be the wrong thing to say, but I don't want my kid to go be the first person out of the classroom.
Right. No, 100%.
And then be shot at. It's so fucked up. This is the world we live in.
I'm thankful that so far my kid has not been at my school, so when these things are happened, I've been able to like detach a little bit, but I have like thought about like now we're coming into like we're going to be in the same building.
Yeah.
So if something happens, I'm thinking about doing my job, taking care of my kids, but also is my own kid okay?
Isn't that
so?
It's so insane.
No, I've already thought about that. I'm trying not to until it becomes a thing, but like I mean, for the most part, I've been able to like detach. Like she's not here, she's safe. I need to do this.
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's also a thing that you have to think about as a parent who is also a teacher. Like, you know, you put those scissors in your pocket, thinking, if there's somebody outside my door, I'm gonna fucking attack them.
I sure am.
But like, imagine if that happened and you did that, and then you got killed, and then your kid has to walk past you because they're safe. You know, it's so crazy that's the expectation on teachers and
but you know
that we live in this world.
But you know, teachers are disposable. Let's disband the Department of Education.
Yeah. Right.
Let's give them guns, but not school supplies.
Yeah, let a wrestling CEO run the Department of Education while we're at it, you know.
Hey, you know what's making kids unsafe? Guns. You know we should get rid of? School lunch. What?
Yeah.
Cool.
What?
My list doesn't even... Okay. That was the end of my questions. That's all I got. That's everything.
Okay, well...
I was exhausted.
Thanks for making me cry.
It's not that fucking hard to do, Kelsey.
I know. Well, that
was heavy.
Emergency preparedness. I mean, it's heavy.
Just know that your kids' teachers are prepared to take a bullet for them.
They're prepared, and they care so much about our kids.
I do love them. I do love all of them.
You know, it's just like teachers, like, they just care so fucking much about our kids, and we're really lucky that we have educators that care about their students like they're their own, you know?
Yep.
So, thank your teachers, everybody.
I know it's past Teacher Appreciation Week, but you can still say thank you.
You should be thanking them every week. Bring them coffee. Bring them bottles of wine. Do everything that you can for these teachers because they're in the trenches, you know?
Big facts. Big facts.
Yeah. So anyways, thanks, Kayla, for what you do for your students.
You're welcome.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
But I love them.
We're going to move on to something a little bit lighter, a little bit less teary-eyed. In talking about essentially like relativity and time travel and how all of that.
Oh, I forgot that's what we were having him talk about. Yay! I'm excited now.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be fun. I'm really excited. We're gonna get into Jake's segment talking about special relativity. I learned that's the actual word. I don't know what it means, so teach us.
Probably question number 1.
Yeah, question number 1 is what's the difference between special relativity and general relativity?
Is this actual question? Oh my God, I was just guessing that was going to be the question. I'm voting that general relativity is just like how things exist relative to one another, and special relativity has to do more with like manipulating relativity outside of its natural state, i.e. time travel.
i.e. time travel.
Okay. That's what I got. That's my guess.
Kelsey.
I think that's a great guess.
Thank you.
I feel
Your
like
turn.
I feel like I don't know enough to be able to make a statement. I mean, relativity, I feel like I say like, well, that's relative a lot. Like I say that all the time. And that's like just general relativity. Like when I'm in a work meeting and somebody says whatever they say and I'm like, well, that's kind of relative, you know, like it's kind of like what is it when you ask a question you don't actually want an answer? It's just
rhetorical.
It's like rhetorical, yeah. It's just like it is what it is type of relativity. And maybe special relativity is like something where like you have an actual intention behind like what you're relating and like it leads to an actual like cognitive answer.
Okay. I think each of you kind of had a little bit of it in here. Kayla, you're pretty close with general relativity.
Ew.
Just kind of like I think of it myself more in terms of kind of the actual physical concepts that you talk about with those two terms, but with general relativity, yeah, it is more of the related to what we talked about, a month or two ago about more of the like gravity and how that affects the space time and how things interact with each other moving through space, like kind of just like how I'm going to use a word here, topology of space and time affects things kind of at a bigger scale. Special relativity, the kind of the wording here is a little bit meaningless in terms of like special in general.
Why would they do that to us?
Because they're physicists. That's what they do.
How am I supposed to get an answer right if they can't even give me?
But
how am I supposed to get an answer right if they can't even give me clues with the wording?
Yeah, I know. I know, right? But special relativity typically has more to do with the frames of reference and how things look relative to one another. So
but then
I think the word
different?
Relativity has a little bit more applicability in terms of what we're talking about. So the main thing is to think about like you as yourself you're in your own frame of reference. You observe things like in your own perspective, right? And then somebody else
like first person.
Kind of. But this is going to be more involved with like the motion relative to each other. So like Kayla right now is in her own frame of reference. And right now, our frames are at rest with each other, right? Like if we're observing each other, neither of us are moving. So like we kind of observe each other at the same, like not moving with respect to each other.
Okay.
So then like you can think of like maybe like satellites above us. Like we're here, we kind of think of ourselves at rest right now, but then we see a satellite going past us, and that's, moving very fast in orbit above the Earth. But if you were sitting on that satellite, you would think you're at rest. And actually, it's kind of like the old, like, does the Earth go around the sun or does the sun go around the Earth, because of the frame of reference. That's why people thought that the sun went around the Earth, because you're sitting here at rest and you see the sun go across the sky. So that's what we're talking about in terms of relativity. But
interesting. Okay.
I'll
have you know, I did get to answer a science question correctly because of our podcast.
Nice. We keep coming up with like a bunch of stuff that like,
or all the time being like, I learned this on a podcast.
Yeah, like just something will happen and be like, we did just discuss that thing on our podcast in the last 2 months or whatever.
Yeah, I love that.
Anyway, where things get interesting and where we talk about like the time travel stuff is when we are moving at high speeds with respect to each other, or like so I think people know like the speed of light is a limit. You can't go any faster than that. But like as you approach the speed of light, physics kind of gets wonky. And we started talking about this when we last were talking all together. So I guess I'm going to introduce kind of some of these things that are consequences of like the nature of physics that has to do with special relativity. And that the first one is called the twin paradox. And this one we did kind of start talking about. But imagine you have a set of twins, okay? And one twin stays on Earth, and the other twin goes on a spaceship and goes away for some length of time at a high speed, like close to the speed of light, and then comes back to Earth. Because of special relativity, your clock kind of moves at a different rate based on how fast you're moving with respect to the other person or the other thing that you're measuring things with.
So if I just run everywhere, I'll age more slowly?
Technically, yes.
Check.
So like I think we were talking about the Buzz Lightyear movie, where Buzz Lightyear had like left Earth and then came back, and he was like, what year is it? Yeah, so it's like when you go faster and approach the speed of light, your clock runs slower, quote. Oh. So the twin paradox is like if you have a set of twins, you have one that stays on Earth and one that leaves. The one that leaves is going to, in their reference frame, they experience time normally, but with respect to their twin, they're going very fast. And so like, just for an example, that I have written here, if you travel 1 light year at 99.995% of the speed of light and return, so 1 light year away and 1 light year back, that's 200 years here on Earth.
Holy shit. But you've only aged 2 years.
So think of that in terms of the twin paradox. So
mic drop.
So like your twin.
Holy shit.
Your twin is like 6 feet under.
Yeah, your twin had died by the time that you got back, but you would have only experienced and aged 2 years.
Like you're out there on that spaceship thinking, this is great. This is the great 2 years of my life. I'm going to come back and get back into my life.
You come back and everyone's fucking dead.
40s or whatever. And you get back and none of your family is alive.
And this is what happened in
Interstellar. Have you watched that, Kelsey? It was on your list of things to watch. Okay, that face says
Not
no.
yet.
So the thing that, like...
Hang on, pause. Have you watched any of the things we told you to watch?
She started Chernobyl.
I watched Chernobyl.
Did you
The whole
finish it?
thing?
4 episodes.
Okay, you only got one more to go.
That's pretty good, actually.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I'm almost done. I love it. I think it's great.
It's amazing.
I will watch the other episode when I don't have my kids.
Fair enough.
Just because I want to pay attention.
Oh, absolutely.
But, and like, I just am too tired at night after I have them. But, we need to like make a running list. I should start one on my phone. The English teacher.
I texted them to you, including what streaming service they were on.
Oh, yeah.
You have a running list on your phone. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, I do.
Like, I sent this to you. I even looked
Perfect.
up the streaming service.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I hate you.
I will watch it because I've been looking for new things.
Interstellar's a movie, so that'll take you, movie length.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
In any case, it's not a huge spoiler, really, but there's one section of the movie where they have to go to a planet which is very close to a black hole, which means that it's like orbiting around the black hole really fast, and then their colleague has to stay in the spaceship at a further distance away so he's not going as fast as them. And so they go down to this planet and spend like 6 hours to go get something off the planet, and when they come back to their ship, the dude that was stayed on the ship is like 50 years older.
Is this the movie with does it have Sandra Bullock in it?
No, that's Gravity.
Okay. Wow.
Interstellar has Matthew McConaughey.
Yep.
And
well, then I'm watching.
And Anne Hathaway.
Oh
yeah,
Jessica
Chastain.
Michael Caine.
Michael
I think,
Caine's
is in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's stacked. It's got a stacked
great.
cast. I mean, it's Christopher Nolan. So.
Okay. Sounds
But
good.
it's pretty good.
No, that's Gravity.
The end of it, I'll just say the end of it is where it gets like the time travel-y that doesn't really have any basis in, it's more narrative time travel. But like that relativity thing, I don't know if you could actually have a situation planet-wise that does kind of the thing that, but like in terms of like how
relativity
you experience
works.
time in terms of special relativity, and like somebody that's at a different place, like observing you experiences time. Like that's pretty accurate.
I almost just spoiled it.
Yeah, don't do that.
I was going to talk about the end, but never mind.
Yeah, don't do that.
Okay.
No spoilers.
I'm not. I didn't. I stopped myself.
Well,
Well, if you had watched the shit that I told you to watch, this wouldn't be a spoiler. This would be a conversation. But here we are.
so the like International Space Station that orbits Earth, it's not going super, super fast, like close to the speed of light. But it is going fast enough in reference to us that there's a measurable amount of percentage of that. You can calculate how much younger, quote, the people on the space station are than everybody else. And actually, there is a set of twins who are astronauts. And like one of the two brothers is younger than the other brother, like in real life, like I guess not
physically.
really measurably, but like technically, if you like calculate,
like one was born before the other.
No, they're both astronauts.
But because one has spent more time in space.
Yeah. So based on the amount of time that he spent in space going around the Earth really fast, he is younger than his twin brother.
That's wild.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's actually one of them is the senator for the U.S. now, Arizona. I think it is.
Really?
Mark Kelly.
Is he
Mark
a
Kelly.
Democrat or a Republican?
Democrat.
Oh, Democrat. Thank God.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. But yeah, he's got a twin brother who also was an astronaut, but he spent a lot more time in space than his brother, so he's younger than his twin brother.
It's wild.
There's one thought experiment regarding this to kind of illustrate why this happens, and it kind of is the think about this like a train that's going past you, and you're observing this train from outside, and there's like two mirrors on the train, okay, that are like facing each other.
Okay.
And a person on the train is going to they should be like this, maybe is better to visualize it.
Okay, like top and bottom.
Yeah, so up and down.
Up and down. Okay.
And you take a light.
A mirror on the ceiling and a mirror on the floor.
Right.
Okay.
Somebody on the train has a light source, and they turn the light source on, maybe if you could somehow see a single beam of light get shot out like a laser, and it's gonna go up and bounce off the top mirror and bounce back down to the bottom mirror.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the speed of light, this is the thing that really messes with physics, is that the speed of light is constant no matter what. So even me going on my ship away at a certain speed of light, I would measure the speed of light the same amount that you do here on Earth. So on the train, you shoot a beam of light, that light beam has to go to the same speed as somebody outside of the train looking at it sees that beam of light. Okay? So on the train, you just see the beam of light go, the height of the train up and then the height of the train down.
Okay.
With the time that you would measure that is just the 2 times the height of the train divided by the speed of light. Okay?
Okay. I'm actually following right now. Mm-hmm.
Now, from the outside, you are looking at this train that's going past you. Okay? And if you are going to measure the distance that beam of light takes as the train goes past you at a speed, the path that the light would take is going to look like a triangle.
Oh.
Okay, right? Because it's going to be launched down
across.
It's going to be launched down here, and the train's going like this. And so when it gets launched, it's
wild.
Like that.
Yeah.
It goes in a triangle pattern.
Yep.
Yep.
So you think that
Here, do you want to do a I'm going to take a video of you saying that.
Okay.
For our socials. Okay, say the thing again.
I don't remember what I said, but the train is traveling this way and they're launching the light, so you can imagine the path of the light hitting the top. That's the path that you observe the light taking from outside.
When you're from the outside.
When you're looking at the train.
From the outside.
Yep.
That's mind-blowing.
So, but the speed of the light traveling inside the train is still the speed of light, c. So the distance that you observed that light traveling is the hypotenuse of that triangle, right?
Yeah.
Which by definition is longer than the height of the train.
Oh.
So the length that you saw that light travel is twice the length of that hypotenuse divided by c. And because that length is bigger than the height of the train, you measured that light taking longer to travel that distance.
Oh.
So that's where that all...
Why am I getting emotional?
Oh my God.
Because you understood it.
Don't mind me.
Oh my God.
So
that's insane.
So that's why the time gets experienced differently. That's why you on Earth in that situation in the twin paradox, you see it taking so much longer for them to go and come back. So that's the explanation of how it works. So the other thing that happens,
hopefully all of our listeners' minds are blown just like mine.
I cannot.
So my second question is going to sound out of left field, but it's it's applicable. So how can you fit a ladder into a barn that is not as wide as the ladder is long?
What?
So imagine you have a barn, it's this wide,
and
you have a ladder that's this long.
Can't you just turn it?
Okay.
No.
Oh. Do it at an angle.
No, you have to keep it in the same orientation. This
I
is a
love
thought
doing it
experiment.
at an angle.
So say you
Cut the ladder in half.
yeah, there you go.
Put
Kayla, you got it. You solved it. We can move on.
Put hinges on the ladder and bend it.
It's a unbreakable, unbendable.
Ugh, you keep making rules.
Okay, so we have a barn that's 10 feet wide.
Yep.
And a ladder that's 20 feet wide.
Yeah.
But we have to fit it inside the 10-foot wide barn.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we put it at an angle? Like a triangle type situation?
Is that going to fit fully? Is that going to fit fully inside the 10 foot, even at an angle?
I mean, how tall's the barn?
Okay, you're ruining this, Kayla. You're ruining it.
I'm not, though.
You can't change the orientation of the ladder.
Ugh.
So there's no way to fit it unless you break it through the other side of the wall.
Well, except for special relativity.
Can we put it in? Is the barn like a 10-foot square or is it a rectangle?
It's a one-dimensional barn.
Oh.
Just like the ladder is one-dimensional. They only have length.
You only have length. I mean.
So this is a classic.
That's not a bad thing.
This is a classic thought experiment. Is that you have a barn and the barn has a front door and a barn has a back door, and like you're running the
same.
You are running this ladder, which is longer than the barn is wide, and you have to shut both doors of the barn at once with the ladder inside of it. So with special relativity, there's a thing called length contraction. So the faster that you move your object from an outside observer, it looks like it's smaller. And so
sounds very sexual.
I was thinking the same thing.
If you can move the ladder at a sufficiently high speed.
Ladder's a grower, not a shower.
Yeah, exactly. That's the opposite. It gets smaller.
Oh.
Oh God.
Kelsey knows about that. Anyways.
Put it Put it back.
But you can make the ladder go fast enough with reference to you that from an outside observer, you would see the ladder contracted down to the length that's But
it's not actually. In real actual life, you're not changing the size of the ladder. So oh no, it looks like it fits. Doesn't mean it actually fucking fits.
That's what she said.
Stop it. I cannot. I'm trying over here to actually think about things, Kelsey.
Oh, sorry. But okay, so if you have the ladder, or you have the barn, and if you have a ladder, say...
But we're not actually making it fit. You're just making it appear like it fits.
But wait, listen to my theory. If we have a little troll barn, right? It's like teeny tiny little, and I'm the big troll, and I'm holding a ladder, and I'm going... then it looks like it fits in there.
Right, but it still doesn't actually fit.
The key...
Jake,
The key to this one is simultaneity. So events happen, the same event happens at different times in your, I don't say reference frames, but essentially if you holding the ladder, for you holding the ladder, you would run super fast towards the barn and you'd enter the front of the barn and you would keep going until trying to remember how exactly this works. So the front, it's kind of like the end of the ladder reaches the other side of the barn with the door closed, and the door opens and the ladder goes through, and then the back door closes as you go through. I'm not explaining this one good, but essentially,
I'm
the observer sees the barn door close and open at different points in time than the person on the outside.
But this is my point: is the ladder still doesn't actually fucking fit? It just quote appears like it from the outside.
I mean, you
can't actually get the ladder to fit.
If the ladder is inside the barn and both the doors close, with the ladder in it, is it actually in the barn or not?
If a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, does it make a sound? This is
Yes.
very like existential. No, but like it
It
just
is
because it
existential,
appears
but
like it
it-
happened
that's
doesn't mean
right,
it
that's
actually
how
happened.
it-
It's not actually happening.
Right. No, but it is actually
No, but
happening
it's
because that's the
not.
relativity of it.
Your relativity of it. It's not actually happening. You have not gotten the ladder in the barn. Period.
Except the both doors close with
But
the
it-
ladder inside the barn.
But it doesn't.
The point is that the person who's carrying the ladder never sees it actually inside the barn. But the outside observer would see both doors.
So
closed.
it doesn't actually go inside the barn.
So the only person that sees it is God, who doesn't exist. So
The point is that these things happen differently
That's
for the
right.
different frame of reference. If you're the one that's holding the ladder,
But my
it
point
never looks
is,
like it's
your
in there.
question was, how do you make a 15-foot ladder fit in a 10-foot barn? And the answer is, you fucking can't.
Kayla, but if you have the ladder inside the barn and the doors are closed, you've put the ladder in the barn.
No, it just looks like you've put the ladder in the
Why
barn to
does it-
some bozo across the street.
But how is that not the ladder being in
It's
the barn?
still not in the fucking barn.
The ladder is in the
No,
barn with
it's
the doors
not
closed.
In the barn. Looks like it's in the barn. This is where the wheels come off in our marriage. This is it. This is the moment. It's
I'm
happening
pulling the
right
doctor
now.
card.
I'm a doctor too, bitch.
Not in this.
Fuck. Oh.
The ladder is in the barn
The
for the
ladder's
person
not in the barn though in real life.
for
oh
one
my God.
for one frame of reference. The ladder is in the barn.
But
For a
in
different-
reality, it's not in the fucking barn.
the
It
whole
just
point
looks
is
like
that
it
things
is.
happen
It's
differently
not in the
for the different
barn.
frames of reference. But what about the aging thing?
What about the aging thing? They're not actually older.
They're not actually older.
Oh my god, I don't know. This is fucking stupid. I hate everything.
You know what I have to say about this? It's all relative.
Get the fuck out of here, Kelsey. No one likes you. Ugh. Can we get on to something that's
I loved every moment of that.
And these are the things we actually argue about in our marriage. Like, these are the actual arguments that happen.
I'm aware. It's nothing that actually matters.
Never. No, the bills are paid. The bills are paid, but we can't agree on relativity thought experiments.
Yeah.
Here's where we are.
So in terms of time travel,
Jake says, moving on.
there is one interesting thing is that based on experimental evidence, it does appear like there is a direction in time that physical processes prefer. And if you'll remember when we talked about symmetry and how like the matter and antimatter asymmetry in the universe happens because of certain processes where the matter is preferred.
Yes.
Do you remember that
I
conversation?
do remember this.
So in kind of not the same processes as that, but in the same way, they have found physical processes where the moving forward in time is preferred in the processes as opposed to being able to go symmetrically. Like if you run like the processes in either direction of time, you would think that you would see a symmetrical thing, like the same thing would happen forward and backwards. But they've actually found these processes experimentally where it seem to prefer going forward. And so that is kind of like in the same way that matter is preferred to antimatter for some reason that we still have to figure out. And we know some processes that obey that, and we like tangibly have matter all around us. It's the same thing with time, where time is moving forward in one direction because there's some fundamental property of the universe that we haven't exactly figured out, but we've found processes that prefer that.
Okay.
And so that's kind of like the real reason why time travel backwards is not possible, at least as far as we understand it. Because
But if you theoretically, this is entirely theoretical. If you time traveled forwards, would you not then have to go backwards?
Well, that's why I started talking about when we last talked about how like what is time travel actually? Like you can quote time travel forward, but that's by virtue of just going really fast so that your time is slower than others, so that when you come back, it looks
it's
like
not like typing into a machine going back to 1950.
Yeah.
Traveling back in a time machine, landing, and being like, "Hi, I'm from the future."
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've thought about this a lot, but like, if you did actually have some way to do that, there's so much more to it than just being like, I want to go back to this point in time. Like, the planet is moving through space at a universal level. Like, you need to be able to figure out where you were in
to be
space.
able to go in space. It's not
because
just,
if you're like, I'm going to go from this point right here to 100 years ago, it's like you're in the middle of space with nothing.
Right.
So like,
you would have to be able to like physically move back to where the planet
undo
was.
all this stuff to get back to not a point in just time, but a point in space that time that you're trying to get to was as well.
Right.
So that's
so
very
essentially
wild.
time travel is impossible.
Yeah. So
Time travel like that is impossible.
Yeah, as far as we understand it, and I tend to agree. And we talked about Stephen
Hawking's time travel party.
His the time traveler party.
Yeah. You also see like there's like people on TikTok that will be like, they'll start their video and they're like, I am a time traveler from the year 2300, and I'm coming to tell you that X, Y, and Z happens with this thing in politics and blah 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 on this date X, Y, and Z. Then you will believe me that I am a time traveler. And then the stuff never happens, and it's like, but they have millions of views.
Of course they do.
So they're just kind of, cuckoo. And
people want something to believe.
I guess I should start a new TikTok.
Yeah, believe people that actually believe that. But I guess maybe they do. I don't know. There's been some interesting historical photos, which, it's all really coincidental and kind of like more like an uncanny valley type thing. Like where they're like, we found a time traveler in this old photo. And it's really more just like coincidentally some person kind of dressed differently than the times at that time, So it looks to us like somebody that's wearing modern clothes. Yeah. There's one famous one where it's like, it looks like a person that's wearing like sunglasses and like a white t-shirt I'm going
to find it for Kelsey now.
In like a group of people in the 50s or 40s or whatever, all wearing suits like they would during that time,
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
yeah.
Which are all interesting to like look at or whatever, but
yeah.
But my point being that we found these processes that prefer a certain direction in time, which kind of makes us think that there's some inherent nature of the universe where all processes prefer going forward in time. That one. We can send that so we can post it on our Instagram.
Yeah, send it to me. I'll post it.
So
this is like kind of unrelated, I think, but you get into like shows like The Simpsons that have predicted different things that have happened actually happened in history. Do we think that has like some people predict that or like have a theory that that's like they're time travelers and they've seen the future, they know what's going to happen? Some people have theories that are completely different and political and like, they just, there's a whole entire plan of it all. And some people think that it's just like happenstance.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like when something happens that mirrors something that like The Simpsons did, that's when you go like, oh, The Simpsons predicted it. But it's like, okay, what about the other 30 things that they said about the future in that same episode or something like that hasn't happened, and you're cherry picking that one thing that ended up correlating to something. I think that's something that people really ignore because it's not as fun to think about or whatever, but it's like for every one correct prediction, there's 20 incorrect predictions that we're just ignoring that anybody made that prediction to begin with.
It's also part of it, I think, is like pattern watching.
Yeah, for sure.
Noticing patterns and cyclical behavior and using that to postulate what might come next. Yeah,
a big thing about human and like brain psychology is like you said, pattern recognition. Yeah, I think there's a lot into that. I mean, that's exactly why that photo that we were just talking about looks so weird to us because we see the pattern of like, that's somebody wearing clothes like people would wear nowadays.
Right.
And we know that the pattern at that time was more like all the other people around there.
Right.
So your brain instantly makes that leap to be like, that's a person that's from the 2000s and not the 50s. You know.
Yeah, I just texted back and said, yeah, that's straight up somebody from 2008.
Yep. So we should get to my last question. And that is, how far can somebody travel from Earth? Like if you were able to go at whatever speed you wanted to, except for the speed of light. Like, how long could you go and survive away from Earth before you would die?
Are we talking in terms of like? Hang on. Are we talking in terms of like physically how far? Like
Mm-hmm. And we're measuring distance in light years.
Right, but are we talking like, oh, if you got too far away from the sun, you would die because you'd be too
No.
cold,
Yeah, ignore all that.
You would
Ignore
run
all
out
that.
of food.
Only
like,
from old age.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, how far in distance?
Is this a Katy Perry time capsule? Like, is this a Blue Origin?
Yeah.
Do you get the fancy spacesuit? Essentially, is what I'm asking.
Yeah. You get a fancy spacesuit that provides you all nourishment that you would ever need, like a normal human's life, and heat. And
Kelsey's like, what's the wardrobe for this trip?
Yeah.
Before I decide.
Right.
No, but what's the
sing
furthest distance?
A song while I'm. Okay.
What's the furthest distance you could travel from Earth, like in a lifetime, in terms of light years?
Okay, are we measuring in miles?
No. Yeah. Well,
oh.
1 billion miles.
Are we measuring in like
light years? Light years.
Light years.
Wait. I have a question. How far did the Blue Origin travel outside of the atmosphere?
That has nothing to do with this.
About 2 feet.
I just want to know.
I don't even know. Because I don't care, because I didn't look at it when I did it.
Okay. How long does it take us to get from...
Okay, you're going down the wrong path. A light year is a measurement of distance. It is the distance that light can travel in 1 year. So they measure stuff at like a galactic scale in terms of light years. So like the nearest star besides the sun to us is like 3.5 light years away. So like if you could shoot a laser at the star, it would take 3.5 years to get there. So,
wow.
Like knowing that you could be on a spaceship that can go, any speed up to this, just below the speed of light. So not actually the speed of light, but just below the speed of light.
Mm-hmm.
How far could you go from Earth in your lifetime? What distance?
Okay, well, first of all, Kayla is Googling, so she's a cheater.
No, I'm not Googling that. I'm Googling a picture for you. Here you go.
Oh, okay.
I was not Googling that at all. So we're talking light years. How many light years could you go before you died?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a really interesting photo that you sent me. It doesn't have anything related
No,
to
but I was talking about you wanted to know how far the Blue Origin went into space and if it left the atmosphere.
Which is not very far.
That's what you wanted to. So
wild.
It is related to what we're talking about. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 50 light years. Here's what I think, Kelsey.
You're going 50 light years? I feel like 3 light years.
3 light years, 50 light years. I mean, how old can a person survive in time?
In real life? Like 80 to 100 years?
So if you could go just below the speed of light, wouldn't you kind of logically think that the furthest you could go is
80
like
to 100? Yeah, that's why I went like 50. I was thinking me right now from this moment, which is why I said 50, because I'm 36 years old.
Oh, okay. That makes a little sense. You didn't explain. You didn't show your work.
Fuck off. It's okay. This isn't on the test anyways. Jesus Christ.
But that's like the obvious answer. The question is actually like much, much, much more. And it all has to do with relativity.
Of course it does.
Because like the closer and closer you get to the speed of light, the like more and more stretched out your time gets. And so like you will always experience like 100 years in theory, but the distance that you could travel as you get closer to the speed of light is going to be further and further and further. So the faster and faster you can get, the further and further away you could get, even though light takes 100 years to go. That in that 100 years, let me just try to explain this. So from an outside observer, it would be, now I'm confusing myself. This is why it's really complicated. Thought experiment. Now I have to do the math. But suffice to say that you could go much further than 100 light years in that time.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So like you could travel for 100 years, but your distance is going to be more than 100 light years.
Oh, okay.
So essentially, if you went out into space and you were traveling for 100 light years,
you would not age 100 years.
You came back, you would have only aged a year.
What would the age be if you went, let's say 10, if you went 10 light years out, 10 light years back? So 20 total light years. What would your...
Well, it all depends on your speed because it's like a
close to the speed of light.
So remember I said that 99.995% of the speed of light?
Sure.
That's 1 light year is 200 light years on Earth. Or no, it's 2 light years. So 2 years traveling for 2 years at that speed
is the equivalent
200
of 200
years on
Earth. Right. I do remember that.
Oh.
So you could be very, 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 very old relative to Earth age without aging that much if you're traveling light years away.
Yeah, actually, this is kind of a misnomer the way I wrote it. It's not traveling 1 light year. It's traveling 1 year at that speed.
1 year at the speed at 99
that
whatever
you
percent.
would observe being 1 year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow. It's insane to think about time moving in that way.
Yeah. So yeah, interesting stuff and pretty mind-bending.
Hell yeah. I would like it noted that
it is.
The ladder still did not actually fit into the barn. It just
I'd
looked
like it to be noted that Kayla's wrong.
Usually.
Yeah.
Well, my whole point was it depends
Welcome
on
to the
who's
club.
observing what. You're right if you're talking about the person who's carrying the
I'm
ladder.
observing
you're
the
wrong
whole thing. I'm
if you're the
omniscient.
person. Oh.
Are you God?
I'm your God.
Yeah, you are.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Jake's like, so that's it. Go ahead and sleep and
So
go ahead and sleep and
So
go
now
to sleep and think.
I'm never gonna sleep.
Go and sleep
again.
and think about how insignificant your life is. Bye.
Isn't that wild to think about? Like, we are literally just a speck.
Oh my God.
Like, it's so funny. Like, I think, like, oh my God, I'm so concerned about, like, all of my problems and all of my bullshit and all of this stuff that I have going on in my life. And literally, I'm just a speck.
Yep.
I mean, that's true anyways. That's not relative to anything. That's just who you are.
Wow. Just because I don't have a doctorate.
I mean...
doesn't mean you have to bully me.
Sure it does.
It does make it easier.
Yeah, are you that right? There is that.
It does make it easier. You guys just watch. We got to keep this podcast going for at least the next 40 years, because maybe 40 years down the line, maybe I'll have my doctorate.
If you start now, it'll only take you. If you start now, it'll only take you 10.
Perfect. I'll see you guys in 10 years.
I'll still be here.
How fast to how close to the speed of light are you traveling in those 10 years?
I am traveling at the speed of the light, so I already have my doctorate, so thank you very much.
Oh my God.
Kelsey.
Hey, if you start now, you can graduate with your doctorate the same year that your oldest graduates from high school.
That's what
Oh my God. Shit. I did not even mean to do that.
Kelsey, you said something really interesting just then about saying that you're traveling at the speed of light and therefore you already got your doctorate and stuff like that.
Oh God.
I'm about to blow your mind again. The implication about how time keeps stretching the closer and closer you get to the speed of light. You need to think about the implication, like if you could sit on a photon, like a piece of light, like what time does light experience for itself? The answer is that it experiences all of the universe's history at once, like simultaneously, because you're approaching the point where the time gets stretched out over the whole lifetime of the universe as you get closer and closer to the actual speed of light.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yep.
There's another one for you to watch.
Is that a movie? Sounds great. I'll watch it.
No, you won't.
Maybe my dissertation will be on it.
It is a really cool movie.
Isn't that a Best Picture winner?
It did win the Oscar for Best Picture.
Everything Everywhere.
But
All at
anyway,
Once.
like I was saying, like a light itself, quote, experiences whatever that means, all time simultaneously.
Okay.
This is bullshit. There's nowhere for you to watch it for free. We can rent it off of a bunch of places. Maybe we can watch it this summer. We'll rent it and watch it together. Okay.
Sounds good. Add it to the list. Okay, cool. Okay, I loved this episode. I realized I cried like half of the episode, but
It's just two
I feel
Kelseys.
like my mind is blown by science. That it is also just who I am. And catch me crying next week, I guess. I don't know. What are we going to give to each other next week?
God. I'm unprepared. Are you prepared? Oh my God.
I'm prepared.
Uh-oh. Jake, what are you going to assign to Kayla for next
So-
year? Next week?
I was gonna ask you about like the certification, like for becoming a teacher, like all these jobs. Well, we live in a different time now, but like they should require you
Right.
to be certified as a teacher. Now I know there's different things that we'll get into in terms of like
Oh, yeah.
they'll let people start working as a teacher without being certified and work towards it.
I have a lot of questions about
But
this.
like that's what's the process for that, like what the requirements are, all that type of thing. Because on top of having to learn how to teach people and everything, you have to jump through all these bureaucratic hoops as well, just for like the different states to allow you to work as a teacher.
Big facts.
So that's what I was gonna ask about.
Oh, can you talk about black holes
Anything about them in particular, just in general?
in general?
Okay.
I mean, I have other options. Do you want my other options?
Yeah, I can pick one.
You can pick one. So we've got black holes. We can talk about like aliens. This ChatGPT says it says, "Are we alone?" The Fermi paradox, exoplanets. No. Okay.
No. I was actually trying to avoid that in our last conversation.
Cool. Let's not do it then. Quantum computers.
I'd have to do a lot of. Let's do black holes.
Okay.
I'd have
I've
to
got
do a
more.
lot of-
Hang tight. I ChatGPT'd last time and just kind of like kept it up here on my phone.
Okay.
How about the multiverse hypothesis?
Kelsey's gonna have to watch everything everywhere.
Okay,
all at
so then
once.
we're gonna have to wait on that one. Let's go with black holes for today
I
then.
have watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
So close.
That's like the
Kelsey.
kids' version of everything everywhere all at once.
No, let's do black holes.
Because honestly, wait, going back to this, have you guys watched that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and the second one? And how all of their universes are at the same time, but they're different. They're different.
I mean, that is a multiverse.
It's like this Spider-Man A, yes, is living his life, fighting crime, doing stuff, and it's like looks in this certain way. At the same time that Spider-Man B is doing it in a different universe.
Yep. That was the multiverse thing that Kayla just talking about.
That is so
we're gonna have to.
I love
We're gonna
those
put
movies.
a pin in that one, and we're gonna talk about that when we record this summer after we watch Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay.
We're gonna put that right there. Otherwise, we also have the fate of the universe, heat, death, etc.
We can do that one eventually. Let's do
Okay.
black holes.
Black holes. It is. I'm on board. So I'm doing.
Cool.
I'm doing.
excited about black holes.
I know, me too. So I'm doing teacher certification. You're doing black holes.
Yep.
Bet.
Sounds sexy.
Wow. Kelsey can make
Um,
anything into a dirty joke.
I can. I truly can. And also, I know that it doesn't relate at all, but for some reason, I've always like classified black holes and volcanoes together.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm interested to know if there's any correlation. Because
No, I can answer this, and I don't have a doctorate in physics. No. Thank you for coming to my podcast. Like, Jesus Christ.
Jacob, do you have anything to say?
No.
Okay, well,
Oh my gosh.
apparently black holes and volcanoes are not related, but next week we're talking about black holes and teacher certifications. So it's sure to be a fun time. Anything that has to do with black holes and teacher certifications is a fun time. So here we are.
All right. Sounds good.
Jake and Kayla hate me. It's all right.
It's fine.
I've lived my entire life this way.
At least the last 23 years.
Yeah, exactly. Which is my entire life.
Pretty much. You're not 23, bitch. Stop lying.
This was a great episode. I learned a lot. I cried a lot. Thanks to everybody involved.
If you cried, give a 5 stars.
If you cried.
If you didn't cry, leave a comment. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly. If you cried, leave a 5-star review. If you didn't cry, leave a comment. Like and subscribe us. We are on Instagram at This Wasn't on the Test. By the end of the week, we'll also be on Facebook and TikTok. So follow us there as well. And then listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Wherever podcasts are sold.
Thanks again. Everywhere that podcasts are sold. We're looking for sponsorships. So sponsor us and come back and listen next week for a great episode. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.